Walker's Way is thrilled to announce that we have Jordan David, also known as Conscious Muscle, here with us today. He's a vegan father, a bodybuilder and health coach, and besides spreading veganism in every facet of his life, he's also an animal rights activist. Over the last couple of years, he started rescuing animals and has built his own animal rescue sanctuary. So Jordan, thank you so much for being here with us. I think you're such a good role model and such an inspiration for our families and our kids. I think you prove and break this stereotype that vegan means weak. It means lack of protein, all those things. So I'm so excited that you're here with us today. Thank you. And I'm just going to get right to the questions if that's okay. That Walker's Way.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, how and why you started your vegan diet, and just why you have a passion for this?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So before getting into coaching, I was, your run-of-the-mill gym bro, meathead, personal trainer. And I had a client of mine who transitioned to vegan. I was training her and her husband at the time. And when she went vegan, she became very, like most vegans, very, passionate about it. So she was telling her husband and I about all of the benefits of veganism and all of the horrors that factory farming entailed. And, like anybody met with an inconvenient truth, her husband and I both met it with aggressiveness and hostility, and we laughed at her. We're like, Susan, you're going to wither away and die. Like, you can't get by on a vegan diet. You're going to be protein deficient. Essentially, we were mocking her. And so she was really serious about it, and they're well-off people. So she said, all right, Jordan, here's what we're going to do. Besides personal training, this was a Monday. She's like, by Friday, if you can give me just a one-page paper as to why veganism is bad for my health, I'll give you $500 and I'll quit being vegan. I'm like, yeah, okay, this is going to be easy. So I went online. I read. I don't want to say I read the whole thing, but I found all the multiple studies. I read through the China study. I looked at medical journals from all over the world, not just things that are spoon-fed to us by our media. And I looked through every piece of data, every journal I can find. I couldn't find anything negative about veganism, nothing. So I said, Susan, you're right. This makes sense in terms of health, well-being. And after that, it was kind of a no-brainer to me. So it started with that. And then I really started looking into factory farming, and I started watching documentaries like Earthlings, Forks Over Knives, Vegucated. And I'm like, after that, the moral and ethical implications took precedent. Yes, there's a myriad of health benefits and everything else. But when I found out, what was going on with factory farming, I couldn't take part of it anymore. So it was a no-brainer, and I made the transition like that. I made the shift like that. So fortunately, having my belief system questioned was the precipice of me going vegan and becoming an activist. So thank God for people like her and people like you and people like me and the rest of us vegans that pushed the issue, because it worked. It turned your typical, I'm a bro, meathead, blah, 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 into I can't live this way anymore. I can't take part in this. It's not humane. This is, without delving into it, I know we have a lot of questions, but, I come from a Jewish background. I have Israelis in my family, and I've met Holocaust survivors, concentration camp survivors with the tattoo on their arm. And, when I learned that Nazis formed their concentration camps, that they were engineered off American slaughterhouses, I was like, I can't be a part of this anymore. So kind of how the transition happened for me.
Right. That's how it happened for me as well. And then I just got more into the nutritional aspect of it all. So clearly you have lots of muscle, and clearly lots of people think.
Oh, thanks.
And clearly our society has taught us you can't get enough protein with a vegan diet, and clearly you do. So can you tell us a little bit about that, how you get your protein, and when you actually did transition, did you whittle away at first and then somehow build it back, or what happened exactly?
Hold on, I have to go drink a protein shake. I'm deficient right now. I'll be right back. Oh no! You cut out on me for a second. You're back. So in essence, it's like this. You say them like you said. The majority of people believe you'll be protein deficient as a vegan. This knowledge just comes from hearsay and conjecture. People read the Muscle and Fitness magazine and they're an expert. You know what I mean? They listen to what these meatheads say at the gym in the locker room. And, just because someone has an admirable physique doesn't mean they know anything about health or nutrition. So I had no issue making the transition. I still get just as much protein as I did before. The difference is now that it's plant-based protein, I'm getting the same protein, the same amino acids that are needed to build tissue, none of the carcinogens, none of the cholesterols, none of the acidic nature of animal product, and nothing has to die so I can live. So in essence, it's this simple. I'll keep it very short. We have, let's say, animal-based protein here. Let's just, for example, say 4 ounces of chicken breast, and then we have 4 ounces of tofu, tempeh, or seitan. Both have comparable protein, and both have full and abundant amino acid profiles. So if you're a traditional bodybuilder wanting to make the transition, and let's say your standard bodybuilding meal is 4 ounces of chicken, 4 ounces of sweet potato and broccoli, just replace the chicken with seitan, tofu, tempeh. You'll have the same results, again, but with none of the negative health ramifications. And the cool thing is, as you know, there's a lot of whole foods plant-based vegans, and you can get by eating lentils, beans, quinoa, hemp seeds. There's non-GMO vegan protein powders that have the same amino acid profile as whey. But again, none of the carcinogens, none of the cholesterol. So it's a win-win. So my thoughts are, if you're a bodybuilder, it's an incredibly unhealthy sport with the amount of things you're putting into your body, especially the cholesterol and carcinogens. So it would make sense to me that even if you don't care about animal rights, and let's just say you hate animals, I don't know who does, but if you do, you make the transition for yourself and your health. It just makes sense from an analytical point of view. There's literally no downside to vegan protein or macronutrients.
Right. And vegan proteins, just to clarify, have all the essential amino acids that we need. Our body synthesizes the rest of them.
Absolutely. If you put a bottle of, let's say, whey protein and a bottle of vegan protein, let's say Sun Warrior or Vega Sport Performance, same amino acid profile, you literally lose nothing.
Right.
Literally.
Right. Because a lot of people have the understanding that you can only get a complete protein from animal protein. And I try to teach people that, no, you can get what our bodies need through plant-based. The other amino acids our bodies make on their own. So I just wanted
Absolutely.
to, okay. So did you feel better after you made the transition? Did you feel different?
Sure. Well, I mean, besides having a clear conscience, in terms of actual physical shifts, I've noticed it actually easier recovery time. I recover a lot quicker. I wake up better in the morning. I sleep better at night. I don't have any heartburn or acid reflux. I don't have bloating like I used to. Like when I would bulk up and eat a lot of food, I'd be bloated and I'd feel sick. And I noticed with plant-based sources, because they're so more readily available and easier processed by the body, I feel lighter. I do feel all around better, and my blood work dictates this as well. You know, as a traditional bodybuilder, I'd eat nothing but fish and chicken. So I assumed, you know, my cholesterol and triglycerides would be great, but they were still through the roof because people don't realize all animal product has some form of cholesterol in it. So now my doctor's like, what'd you do? Your blood works perfect. I'm like, I went vegan.
Wow, you're like the male version of me because that's exactly what happened to me. I had really high cholesterol. I didn't eat red meat. I exercised every day. I just ate fish and chicken. This is 15 years ago. And my cholesterol was super, super, super high. My triglycerides are super high. People just assume chicken and fish don't have cholesterol. I'm like, no, anything with an animal has cholesterol. So that's funny that you said that. I could have said the same thing. You have
Sure.
over 103,000 followers on Instagram, and you have a Facebook page. How did you spread your message so well, especially in a society that
So
fights this concept?
Sure. Well, I mean, I'm a big proponent of the law of attraction. You know, I'm sure we've all heard of the book called The Secret, all that, you know, hocus pocus stuff. I took it a step farther and looked into quantum physics, which is like the mechanics of law of attraction. Basically it boils down to this: what you put out, you get back. So I put all of my energy into it. You know, I was genuine. This was my passion. I wanted to share with people how you could be fit, how you could be healthy, how you could do it plant-based. And people caught on, you know, and I think because I'm not just about fitness and nutrition. You know, I almost put animal rights and animal advocacy before the fitness and nutrition. Now it's kind of the shift I'm making. I guess it just resonates with that vegan audience, showing them like, hey, you know, you can be compassionate, you can rescue animals, and you can be fit, healthy, and strong. So I think just being very passionate about what I was doing and being very authentic translates. I think when you're authentic with your mission and you can clearly convey your mission to people and it's a worthwhile cause, people jump on board.
Right. Right. I do think that provides a good foundation for people. If, let's say they're going for the nutritional aspects of plant-based, that foundation of animal rights and the morals of it and the fact that they're sentient, emotional beings, that's what I always fall back on. If I'm tempted for sushi, because sometimes I'm tempted for sushi, then I think back to what I know about
Sure.
the animals. So that's kind of the foundation of all of it for me. So I'm sure it probably helps a lot of people. Um, are your,
Sure.
I know
Sure.
you have two kids, two daughters, aged 2 and
Sure.
6. Are they vegan?
Yeah. So they're primarily vegan. When they're with me, they're 100% vegan. I'm divorced. They have an amazing mom. She's a wonderful lady. We co-parent very well together. She's primarily vegan, but on occasion she does have dairy and ice cream. She still has that disconnect where she's not. She understands how carcinogenic and acidic dairy is. She gets it, but there's still that disconnect. So if she takes my daughters to like another friend's birthday party or something like that, she'll allow them to consume like a slice of pizza or a scoop of ice cream. Whereas with me, if we go get ice cream, we can go get sorbet. We can, they want to put toppings on it. We can put fruits. We can put coconut shavings. We can put what's it that she loves? Oreos. They're vegan. So there's all
Oreos
sorts of
vegan.
things. So with me, they're vegan. Yeah, thank God. But with their mom, it's a compromise. So I've heard horror stories like we talked about where I see, we're a divorced couple, the child goes with the other parent and they're slamming hot dogs and burgers and sodas. So when I look at that, I'm like, you know what? If once in a blue moon she feeds my daughter a scoop of ice cream,
Right.
I can live with that. And fortunately, she's coming around. In the house, it's only flax milk, pea protein milk, almond milk ice cream. So fortunately, at home, they're 100% vegan too with their mom. It's only on those rare occasions, they go to a function, a birthday party, or an event.
Right.
So that's kind of where we're at right now.
Right. And I'm going to ask another child-focused question since Walker's Way is all about promoting plant-based for families with their toddlers and children.
Yeah.
Do your children know about the animal aspects of it all? Did you teach that to them? And do they like living a vegan lifestyle and the foods?
My oldest daughter, oh gosh, yeah, my oldest daughter is 6. So she's not, my youngest one will eat any fruits and veggies you put in front of her. My oldest one is more about, she likes like, the Gardein nuggets and stuff like that. But she's a huge animal rights advocate. I mean, she's all about friends, not food. When I took her for a haircut before Thanksgiving and the lady was cutting her, she's like, oh, do you guys have a good turkey? Are you ready to eat? And my daughter looked at her like she had 3 heads. Abigail looked at her and said, what do you mean? We don't eat turkeys. We have a pet turkey. They're friends. They're our family. We don't eat our friends. That's gross. So my daughter is going to be like she's a very strong, independent girl. So I know she's going to be a staunch animal rights advocate. I mean, and I don't push it on her. I'm just honest with my daughters. I've had people comment, don't you think it's unfair you're not giving your child the option to choose? I'm like, excuse me. If for 1 second you show their child where you derive their chicken nuggets or you derive that hamburger, they would never touch it again. So I am giving my child the option. She knows where meat and dairy comes from. Mm-hmm. She knows where plant-based food comes from. So if you put both in front of her, she's going to make that choice based on her own knowledge and her own experience. So 100%, she's on board. She gets it.
Right. I'm glad you said all that because that's my plan. I'm going to educate Walker. I'm going to read him books and show him the truth. And then when he's 5 or 6 and can make a choice at a birthday party, I think, will choose not to because he'll know where it comes from. But it's all about educating them and telling them the truth. And I believe in telling our children the truth. So I'm glad that you said that.
It's amazing that people will feed their children this stuff. But if slaughterhouses start offering guided tours, let's see how many parents sign up.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's terrible.
It is. It is. What are your kids' top 3 vegan foods or meals?
Sure. So my youngest one, fortunately, loves broccoli, cauliflower, peas. So for her, she loves a mix of cauliflower, peas. She loves like the veggie mixes. I say my oldest one is more into the vegan mac and cheese, the Gardein nuggets, the corn now has 100% vegan product. So she likes more of the processed foods. And I think that's because she's older, and when she was born, we weren't vegan. So she kind of got acclimated. She had a palate for, the nuggets and stuff. So it's a process. And even before vegan, we were all about, like most people, 100% organic, non-GMO living. And like most people, we think that's okay, even with animal products. We don't realize how carcinogenic it is until we don't know until we know.
Right.
So my oldest daughter is more about the processed foods with a mix of whole foods. But my youngest, I mean, I can get that kid by on 100% whole foods plant-based, which is great. I started her, from the day she was born.
Right. That's key because Walker eats some stuff that I can barely eat myself, like chlorella mixed with super greens. And it looks like sludge. I'm like, because I started it that way. He knows no different. People look at him like, well, he knows no different. To him, it tastes good. I didn't introduce him to Pop-Tarts,
Yeah, well, bless you for giving him a leg up in life. That, you know what I mean? Just by doing that, his quality of life is going to be so much superior as opposed to, to the kid who grows up eating, I don't even want to call them chicken nuggets like McDonald's. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
garbage,
Yeah,
literally garbage.
chicken nuggets aren't even nuggets, really. I mean, I think they say there's a plastic in it that's in yoga mats. Uh,
I've heard that. Yeah.
right. So back to you a little bit. What are your, because people want to know protein. I mean, our society is so protein focused. So even though we're hearing you, I'm sure there's still that resistance to understanding that we can get enough protein. So what are your top three favorite protein sources, and do you try to eat them before and after a workout? Do you think, or do you even think about it at all?
Absolutely. No, I do. I'm dieting right now. So I do track my macros. I know what I'm putting in. So my three top protein sources right now, I have a similar shake in the morning for as a meal replacement and after training, which is roughly 30 grams of vegan protein, either ground flaxseed or chia seed, a super green powder, whichever brand I use, Amazing Grass, Super Green, Superfood,
That's what I
raw
use.
maca powder, raw cacao powder. It's great, right? It's amazing,
Hmm.
and I mix that with water, let it sit. With chia seeds, I let it soak a little bit, and then I drink that. And I also have that post workout. And I'm also right now big on tempeh.
Hmm.
And we'll get into soy. That's a whole. Let me just say, non-GMO is safe. It's more beneficial than anything else in
It's
terms
a
of health
health
and well-being.
it's a health
If you
food.
look, it 100% is. People have all these worries about. Sorry, I'm going on a tangent. Maybe that'll
No,
be another
no,
topic. But
actually,
anyway,
go on. So
so the,
talk about soy. I'd like you to actually.
well, the thing is, I'm not going to sit here and produce data. If anyone's curious and you want to look into the validity of what I'm saying, just pop on Google. All credible medical based, how do I say it? All credible data that you can find out there that's actually medical data driven, done by credible authorities, shows soy in its non GMO form to not only be safe, but to be beneficial in terms of hormonal health and even cancer health.
Hmm.
Cancer health being, they show with women, it also attributes to a lesser rate of breast cancer. There's a big misconception because of the estrogen found in soy that it will translate to, for men, like guys call them bitch tits or gynecomastia, excuse my language, or something like that. The thing is, it's plant-based estrogen. They're phytoestrogens.
I
They
don't.
bind to it's only an estrogen for a plant. So
Right.
in theory, if a man consumes soy, those phytoestrogens, in theory, and again, this is why phytoestrogens are used in homeopathic therapy for hormonal health for men, is those phytoestrogens will bind to your receptors. If phytoestrogens are bound to your receptors, it means there's no receptors available for actual estrogen to bind to. So it's incredibly beneficial for health, well-being, and hormone balance. So I'm putting it out there now. Non-GMO soy is safe. There's no argument. You can go find a million studies online. 500, half of them will say it's good, half will say it's bad. Look at the source.
Right.
If the government spends upwards, and this is a humble estimate, of $30 billion a year on meat and dairy subsidies, of course there's going to be propaganda out there to negate soy. I mean, it's taking away from the meat and dairy industry, which is huge.
Right.
So it's completely fine, especially tempeh because it's fermented soy. It's great for digestive health. So
Right.
shakes, tempeh, and I'd say either seitan or I'm eating a lot of beans lately. Like I like to mash beans, garbanzo beans,
Hmm.
throw in some hemp seeds, and
Right.
just kind of have, instead of mashed potato, I have a protein loaded mashed bean mix.
Right. Right. No, we call Tuesdays Tempeh Tuesdays. It helps me remember to always have tempeh.
There you Heck yeah. There you go, right? There you go.
My son loves tempeh. I don't like it plain. I like to chop it up in marinara or chop it up into something, but he just eats it plain. But yeah, I have found that
God bless.
anytime you see something that says the meat's good for you, dairy's industry, if you dig deep, it's always the meat industry and the dairy industry and the egg industry that are lurking in the shadows, and you got to dig deep and look at the source. I'm glad you talked about that. Um,
Yeah, people assume our government or these authorities would never lie to us. I mean, for God's sakes, not more than 30, 40 years ago, doctors were smoking cigarettes in commercials.
right, I
Like,
know.
not everything that's mainstream is good for you, you know?
Right. I actually watched the documentary What the Health recently, and I really liked that one because it talked about all of that a lot. And I always tell everybody, go watch that
Oh,
documentary. It's
yeah.
the best one to date. And it's the first one that actually talks about children and cancer and diabetes, not just older adults with heart disease. It covered everything. So I really liked that documentary. Um,
No, it's
pe
amazing.
People struggle. My husband just transitioned to plant-based, and his what
Hey,
I
that's what's
know.
up.
I've been educating him for 10 years or 7 years, and What the Health is actually what finally flipped the switch for him. But his biggest concern was always missing a hamburger or missing something he used to eat. Do you ever crave your old foods? How do you deal with that?
I mean, anything you want, you get plant based. I eat vegan burgers, vegan burritos, vegan nachos, vegan pizzas. I mean, you can go to Publix, Target, Whole Foods, and get Gardein, Beyond Meat, like the Beyond Burgers, the Beast Burgers. I mean, anything you can eat animal based, you can eat plant based. Now again, of course, Whole Foods, living raw foods is better for longevity, health, and well being. But if you want a burger, the worst thing you're getting is something processed, which meat is anyway. So if you can have a vegan burger or an animal burger and both taste amazing, both have the same amount of protein, but again, plant burger, no carcinogens, no cholesterol,
Right,
nothing had to be brutally murdered to make it. So
right,
yeah, no, I don't miss anything. I still eat, when I have a cheat meal, I still eat the same yummy foods.
right. And I've introduced Beyond Meat burgers to some people, and while they say it's not as good as their burger, I'm like, well, even though it's not as good to you, doesn't taste as good, is it feel good that no animal had to suffer or die for your dinner? And they're like, you know what, that makes it worth it. So sometimes that little bit helps a little.
Sure.
Um, so in
And
addition to
it
being a
takes it
go
takes
ahead.
time.
It does, it does. Yeah, no, your
No, no, go
palates
ahead,
change.
please.
Palates change. I mean, I've read studies that say it takes about 2 weeks, maybe three, for your palate to slowly change. And I love the foods I eat, and it just takes a little bit of time and patience, and someday you'll never look back to those foods. Um, so in addition to being a father and a health coach and a bodybuilder, you are also an animal. You have a farm sanctuary you recently have started over the past couple of years. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I was always an animal lover, like even though I ate meat, I didn't really make the connection. Everyone's an animal lover, but you can't love animals and eat them, you know what I mean? But
Right.
it started off with rescue pit bulls, and then got a couple pigs, and then from the pigs came more pigs, and then chickens, and then goats, and then turkeys and ducks, and now we have over 20 animals. And our we have an entire acre that's just for the animals. So right now I'm in the process of looking from anywhere to I was originally looking for 20, but realized a little more than I need. So anywhere from 14 to 20 acres, I'm hoping to have acquired in the next 6 months or less. I gave myself until the end of the year, and I want to start rescuing cows and horses. I live in an area in South Florida, in West Palm Beach, and there's an area called Wellington, and it's one of the largest equestrian communities in the world. And horses are used, abused, and thrown away. Literally, I mean they're raced to death and thrown away. And there's veal farms everywhere, especially I live in a place called next to West Palm called Loxahatchee. That's where the sanctuary is. And you pass these veal farms. So besides rescuing cows, chickens, ducks, goats, I want to get in the cows and horses. So I started a crowdfunding campaign. So I figured between the crowdfunding and I'm literally sinking my life savings into this because I can't think of a more worthy cause for the money I've worked hard for. I want to make a difference. So these animals are my family. Like I couldn't imagine doing it any other way. It's like you, I'm a parent, so there's nothing more fulfilling than being a parent. You get that sense of drive and fulfillment and purpose from your child, but I think we all need external sources of purpose and fulfillment, our own personal mission. So
Right.
starting this sanctuary and turning it into one of the largest sanctuaries and education centers in South Florida, and hopefully spreading it is my life's work right now. That's my goal. So I love the fitness and nutrition, and that's how I make a living. But my sanctuary is how I make my life. If that makes sense.
No, that's amazing. Um, when I saw that about you, I was like, that's just it just made me smile. I have a adopted pig and cow at Farm Sanctuary up in Orland, and my husband's recent gift to me for our anniversary was an adopted pig at San Diego Farm Rescue. So,
Oh, that's
I mean,
amazing.
what? I mean, I was like, that's the best gift you could have given me. We're actually gonna go visit this weekend with with my son Walker. So, um,
That's so exciting. How far is that from where you live?
the farm sanctuary in Orland is that's a flight, but the one over in San Diego, it's only about a 10-minute drive. So, and they have
Oh,
volunteer
cool.
opportunities. So I'll bring Walker as he gets a little older. Will volunteer at the farm, and he'll probably adopt his own farm animal at some point. And we have a big picture of the pig, Betsy, in our
What's it?
kitchen.
What's her name? Betsy.
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 I,
Okay,
I
very
wish
nice.
I had the picture right here. I would lift it up, but it's over in the kitchen. My son
Oh,
loves
that's awesome.
pigs. He loves pigs. So I mean, even if I offered him bacon or sausage in this house, he would never ever eat it knowing it would come from a pig because he loves pigs.
He's a winner. Walker's a winner. I like it. You're awesome. You're a good
Um,
mama bear.
well, I know you were so busy, so I'm just wondering, is there anything else that you want to share with Walker's Way followers? Again, it's parents trying to go plant-based with their kids. That um, they're always their biggest concern is always nutrition and enough protein. You clearly shatter. that stereotype and that misconception. Is there any last message you want to share?
Um, I don't know if you want me to outline kind of my info for them if they need help, or if you want to put it in a description. I don't want to like
Do a
out of
brief outline, and I'm also gonna have a
yeah.
blog where I'll have some links to your site and your farm rescue as well.
Sure. Well, I mean, if any parents are curious, my website's consciousmuscle.net. And although what I do is very results driven, a lot of parents take the foundations I give them and translate that to their children. What you can eat, your kids can eat. And I also have a GoFundMe and a Patreon account, which is gofundme.com/consciousmuscle and patreon.com/consciousmuscle. The reason I bring those up is as important as my fitness and nutrition coaching career is, getting the sanctuary expansion is important. I'm running out of room on my land. I can only have so many pigs and goats pooping everywhere before we don't have any room to walk.
Right.
So yeah, that's it. That's my passion. This is what I do. So I'm grateful you're allowing me to share that with your audience. It's really cool. Thank you.
No, well, thank you for taking the time. I mean, when you got back to me, I was like, this. It just made my day. I was so excited about it because like I said, yeah, I think you're a role model. You're an inspiration, and I love anyone who shatters this vegan plant-based myth. You're a perfect person for my website or for Walker's Way followers.
No, thank you. Hopefully more of us will be popping up every day. I mean, that's why you and I do what we do, you
Right.
know?
Our motto is creating little warriors one meal at a time. So,
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. I like that a lot.
and Walker is a warrior. He's never been sick. He's fast and strong and doing really, really well. So, I'm really proud of him.
That's awesome. Heck yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and I really appreciate your time. And I wish I could see your daughters, but I'm sure they're at camp or something since it's summer. But
Oh, they are.
and thank you for all that you do, just in educating people and your rescuing animals. I think it's amazing.
Oh, thanks, Megan. I appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you.